Hello, everybody. What's happening? Just a real quick announcement. I am the next symposium, Flipping Tiki. If you're staying for that, have a writing utensil. I'm going to give you a quiz to start my presentation to see how well you know Tiki, and there will be prizes. So glassware and T-shirts and fun stuff like that. And with that, I will hand it over to these dudes.
Dun, dun, dun. Everybody knows who I am, I think, because no one left the room.
That's nice.
Please introduce yourselves to this lovely audience.
Want to go first? All right. Hello. Okay. So, hey guys, I'm Tony, Tiki Tony. That's it. This is my first Tiki Con. Thank you.
Oh, I'm Ron Ferrel, otherwise known as Rongo Rongo, Rincon Ron the Beachcomber, Mysteries of the South Seas. I won't do any more. Bongo Fury. For all the old Tiki Central people.
Just keep going until they recognize one.
Okay, well, everybody's still going, huh? Yeah, this is my first Tiki Con also. I love it. It's great.
So we're here today to kind of answer questions and then go through some slides of our home bars, which is just fun stuff to look at, but ultimately answer your questions. So we'll get started. Where every home bar starts, a patch of dirt in the backyard. Tony, tell us, why did you build a backyard? Yours isn't a bar though. Yours is more of a working, functioning shack.
Yeah, I needed a space to work, and I wanted a cool place to work out of. Building or making tikis is fun, but like any work, it's work, so you want an inspiring place to work from. So I was obsessed with creating something that was fun to walk into every day. So our backyard was just weeds when we moved in. It was a bank-owned property. It was pretty sad. And there was, behind this, there was all just concrete everywhere. So I had to jackhammer and get rid of everything to do the base. I went to Home Depot. I bought the first sets of 2x4s to kind of do the frame. And I just had like a rough drawing, and I'm not like a construction guy at all. So the angles are all funky. Like, he's into construction, and he's like, that's an interesting angle, and I'm like piecing stuff together.
Beachcomber style.
But yeah, as time went on, people are like, oh, your hut looks like it was there forever, like a workshop kind of thing. And that just happened with layering and time and everything like that. So it's aged.
Very well organized.
Well, I don't know about that. Everything's at odd angles, but then that just kind of worked for me, and it was a good backdrop too for all the stuff I created that I needed to take photos of. So kind of the back area where I work is like the perfect. Like, I just have two cheap utility lights, and they created this perfect lighting on the inside for photos. Oh, there you go. So there's photos of the inside. Yeah, but it's a working, functioning shack. All the stuff I carve, I make out of there. Back when my wife and I were making mugs ourselves, I would make all the molds in there. So it's nice to have a functioning workshop that is fun to go to, and a backdrop for my glassware and things. And then the front part is a bar, but it's like we rarely even use that part of the bar. I feel like it's underserved. So yeah, those are the little guys I carve.
I think I use the front of his bar more than he does.
Tony's best work.
Yeah. It's true.
A real Tiki baby.
Is that the cage you keep her in? Or is
Yeah.
She's a little big for it. And then talk about your next venture as far as
The mobile tiki
the
shack?
mobile tiki.
Okay, so I drew a picture of like a vintage Land Rover with stuff all over it. I called it the Disney Adventureland rig. A friend of ours saw that drawing. She inherited like 70 classic cars, and this Land Rover had been sitting for 20 years. It was her father's. And she said, if you can get this Land Rover running and going and you turn it into your drawing, you can have it. So she took me to this lot up in like Upper Ventura. It had been sitting there forever, and it was actually in better condition than I thought. So trailered it home about 2 months ago, and I stared at it for a while. And this was before we had any mechanical work done on it. I just started like decorating it. And like my wife's like, that's not going to get it to run. So I'm like, all right. So I would open the hood and kind of look at it for a while. I'm like, wonder if this would do anything. And I'm like, I'm so bad mechanically. As you can tell, the bamboo bumper, it's not structural.
Looks nice, though.
Looks nice. So eventually I found a friend of a friend who did mechanical work. He got it running after 20 years of not running, and I've been driving it around lately.
What's your top speed on the freeway?
Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you, 62 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a struggle, and I had the wind with me. So, and
once you put everything on it, it should peak out at about 14.
Yeah. So Brandon's been randomly sending me cool props that we're going to add to it, and this is the design for it. So it'll debut at Tiki Oasis with vintage stuff on it, and then it's also going to be kind of a mobile tiki shack where we'll vend off of as well. So it'll be in the car show if you guys are going to Tiki Oasis. So,
Dun, dun, dun.
yeah.
So then this is obviously mine backyard bar. The theme of this is they get bigger and crazier as we go. So Tony has the
Tiny shack.
the tiny functioning, responsible size backyard shack. Mine gets a little crazier, and then Ron needs therapy.
Yeah. He does.
That's what my wife says too. She's in agreement.
So we decided when I was getting a new job, I made a deal with my wife, and she said, if you get a new job, I get a pool. And I said, okay. She goes, but if I get a pool, you can decorate it tiki. And I said, okay, now we're good. So we decided to go with the third Trader Sam's location, which is the Shipwreck Shack. I designed it all in SketchUp, and which was a really fun way of doing it, because then you could show contractor stuff and they really couldn't argue it because you had it built. It was like, just do that. Originally, we just had a little 10 by 10 square over in the corner, and then we just went out and down to the side of the house and back and around and out that way. This lamp fixture I just love. It's an indoor fixture.
Close enough.
It's Florida. What's the worst that could happen with the weather? But you can find these. You can find these online. This one came from China, but it's just gorgeous, and it was so obviously perfect to do a flotsam jetsam type chandelier and beautifully colorful. So with the shipwreck theme, we kind of went with just stuff. So we thought, okay, well, we'll do a crate from Raiders, and then we put our wedding date in it, which is also one of the Disney things everybody does, put your birthdays and stuff in it. And then I started doing our wedding date, so it's on the helicopter in Pandora, and it's around a few places, but we did this. And then we built the back side of the orca from Jaws. That's just a fun, cool, I don't have to worry about legal and lawyers, I can do what I want type of thing. So I was like, we're putting Jaws in the Trader Sam's, let's go. Oceanic, built the bar top just out of 2x4s. The columns on the side, my wife sketched them out, and I just took a Dremel and then I just bought that one from Oceanic, because you got to have an Oceanic something in your tiki bar. The back wall is just a piece of fence from Lowe's that we stained in all sorts of different weird colors. Do you do this in yours at all with the crates? Make shelves? Yeah, that's a great...
Mine are crooked, though. They started off straight.
So this is a good one if you need like cool rustic adventure-y shelves is these are just those wooden crates you get at like a craft store, and you just cut them in half and get some L brackets, and you're good to go. Like, they work great.
You can also just use one screw, and then they.
I'm still used to Disney installation standards of, oh God, somebody's going to climb on it.
It might have been a rusty nail from a lamppost.
We did a directional sign, but instead of locations, we made it places we've been, or tiki bars that we really, really liked. Don't have room for all of them, but it was like, okay, if you make the sign, then you're in.
How many drinks did you have at Tonga? That one's really blurry.
It's Bahuka that's really blurry. That one's really worn out, but so that was a fun twist. But and you can see the directional out in the back there. So there's our little.
I haven't seen that photo. Nice.
We literally just took these last week. We have
nice.
tried and tried and tried. I had a buddy that's a photographer, and they kept raining and raining and raining, so we finally just got these in.
That's cool.
But yeah, definitely sticking with the Trader Sam's theme of just stuff, cool stuff. And the front shelf is home to our tiny tikis, so it's all little guys. But yeah, that's our little backyard. We have a Dole Whip machine.
I see a
Nice.
a Kakamora. Is that a Kakamora?
And there's a tiny hidden Kakamora on the column. Yeah, we have a Dole Whip. We have a soft serve Dole Whip, and then just some of the details. This mermaid skeleton just came out. I don't know if you guys have at home. It's at home. They have mermaid skeletons. Yeah, it's great. They're like $8, and they're awesome.
I need it.
Because everybody needs a mermaid skeleton.
Yes.
Cool.
So yeah. So there's the back wall of just
Nice.
stuff and more stuff. And then our in progress wall of kind of our Adventureland mask wall that's always growing. And our coasters.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
We did coasters.
How come I didn't get those?
So you don't live in Florida. You got to come over and have
All
a
right.
Dole Whip.
Got it.
All right. Speaking of therapy,
I don't know what he's talking
where do we begin with Ron's magnificent room? When did you start collecting things?
Probably 20 years ago, a little bit longer. So I was into surf and Hawaiiana and a little bit of tiki. And we grew up in Southern California, but we lived closer to Pacific Ocean Park than to Disneyland. So Pacific Ocean Park actually had a pretty cool ride at the end of the pier. I think it changed a couple times. It was in Mystic Isle, but there was a cool banana train that went through a volcano, and there was big, giant tikis. If you have the Pacific Ocean Park book, it is amazing to see what they have. So part of that influenced me when I was young was Pacific Ocean Park, but then also going to Disneyland and going to the Enchanted Tiki Room, and I remember Adventureland where they had the kiosk out there. We could get shrunken heads and little tikis, and I had a necklace and stuff like that. But I didn't really get the bug till probably about a little before the Book of Tiki came out, and then we had a house up at Pismo Beach or a trailer, and so we started decorating that, and that's kind of what made things go wrong. Or right? So there's my concept sketch is very minimalistic compared to Brandon's.
I don't know how to draw, but I can build an computer.
So as you can see, this was just an early concept of what we thought it was going to be. It was going to be all built on a pier, like you see on the bottom there. But when we found out it was going to cost more to do that, and the city was going to charge us the square foot of the patio, including the building, because I did it all with permits, believe it or not. We decided
I did not.
there may be one thing that's not permitted, but so we ended up just stamping the concrete to look like wood, and because that way we only had to pay taxes on the actual structure itself. So that was kind of the beginnings of it. It looked nothing like that because my wife is very graphic. Comes from a graphic background, so she made a graph paper with our yard to scale, and then she cut out little different sized tiki huts and different sized ponds, and we would move it around the yard to see where it would work. So the hut changed, the pond everything changed over time. So, but these pictures and these drawings, that was a little architectural drawing for the city for approval. But we actually had a mid-century modern Eichler in Thousand Oaks, California. And that's where we did our first Rincon room. And it was just in the house. My wife would cry right now if I talked about the house. She loved that house. I did too. But it was all very minimalistic and very modern and sleek. But we had one laundry room that we turned into a tiki bar, which was perfect. But it was small. And then when we moved to our current house, which is only 11 miles away, 2 miles away from this guy, and we decided there was nowhere good in the house to build it because it's like a Brady Bunch split level, and we wanted it to be close to the kitchen, so we had this nice sized backyard. So she said, just build it in the backyard. So
He got kicked out. That's what it was.
well,
Outside, Ron.
yeah. Well, the thing was, I always thought, well, if I do get in trouble, at least I can go outside and sleep in the bar. So we gutted the yard. So there's nothing. Everything in our yard we planted and we built. Had some contractors do the pond for us and the concrete. And there's that same area getting the foundation and electrical rebar for this stupid little tiki bar. And actually, it's not that hard to build, so don't be intimidated, because all I did was built a box. So you just put up some posts and some beams around it, and then the hardest part is doing your roof angle. And you'll see there's a beam, the top beam that's not raised up yet, that's sticking out. It's on the right, it's stained and carved, but it's hard to see. We just bought 2 beams, so we didn't have to spend a lot of money for one long beam, and then supported it in the center of the building. And so that's the roof structure put up with the beams. And I put a full bed. You'll see plumbing there because there's a full bathroom in the bar.
By city code.
No, but if we use the spa out there, it's nice to just go in there. So there it is, a little closer to now. That's today. The pond is to the left, the bar is to the right. And this is the original Rincon room. You can kind of see back into the living room of the Eichler, or the den of the Eichler. So this was a 9-foot by 11-foot room. And we just stuffed it with as much stuff as we possibly could. Until we did that. So yeah, and the crazy part is, you'd think I would have been done by having this, but if you go in the house, it's kind of the same. It was carried through every room of the house.
But the house, I mean, I've been over a couple. The house is like a museum.
Yeah.
And the outside's like a playground, but the house is like a museum. The
Yeah,
stuff you have
kinda.
inside is unbelievable.
Thanks.
Not that the stuff outside's not unbelievable, but
And there's my TV in a bar. I know some people don't like a TV in a bar, but I'm very into South Seas movies and films. I did a symposium at Hukilau. I'm doing one at Tiki Oasis. I did one at Tiki on TV, and I'm doing one on Tiki in the movie. So that's where that Headhunter poster is on the right. That's the bathroom door. And so that's an old vintage suitcase that I cut out and put the TV in, and then I have a Covarrubias map that hangs over it when it's not being used. And so there's the front of the bar, and it's named the Rincon Room because we have a local surf spot called the Rincon. And it used to get dusty all the time, so finally last year I put a front on the left. You can see that's it closed, so I can close it up and it doesn't get as dusty, because who wants to dust a tiki bar? Usually I take the leaf blower in there and dust. And then that's it open, and there's some friends that... That's a Satin Dolls. They'll be at Tiki Oasis.
how many times did you sleep in the bar that weekend? Being kicked out of here.
Not with any of them. So.
I wasn't invited over.
Quick,
that
next
weekend.
next slide.
No, I'm okay. You can go back to that one. I like that one. So that's kind of, there's our little bar sink, and straight back you can see that poster again through to the bathroom. And so there's a lot of stuff like that light that's right above there with the shells. That was from the Kahiki in Ohio. And the ceiling on the left, and then looking back, you can see the spa on the right side going back there. Everybody has a spa near the Tiki Bar, don't they? Right? He has a pool. Come on, I can have a spa.
I have a bucket of water.
You do. Yes, you do.
Rusty.
And then we also have mugs for sale in the room. And if you want a Rincon Room T-shirt, you can go into Amazon and type in Rincon Room, and also Lost Cargo. There's 3 different Lost Cargo in one Rincon Room. Available on Amazon. Mugs available in our booth.
All right, Home Tiki Bar questions. Go.
How'd you get the Dole Whip machine?
Amazon, soft serve ice cream machine, but they will work with Dole Whip. And then you order the Dole Whip mix. Pineapple, orange, lime, vanilla.
So like through like a Dole website or
Amazon.
Amazon?
Amazon has them now. And it's just the bags of, legit bags of Dole Whip. Some of you got to check the right machine, but you can find ones that just Google it and it'll literally say this one will make Dole Whip. Because some of them, they're more ice cream machines. But if you find the right soft serve machines and then just, when you find it, you know you found the right one because below it says, people have also bought, and it lists all the Dole Whip bags.
Makes it easy.
Yes.
I never do that myself. Even though if you look, I like a lot of the vintage stuff, but I also like some of the new stuff too. So I don't really. I think maybe then a neon sign. I don't even. If I'd even say anything about it though. If that's what they like, then that's fine. Everybody has their own taste, so I don't want to be their editor of taste.
Especially in a home tiki bar.
Yeah.
It's one thing if it's a
Yeah,
commercial
bar.
professional bar, then
Oh yeah, I'll say
buckle
something
up.
in a commercial
but,
bar.
but in a home bar, that's what you like, that you have to live with, and you're going to see every day. So it doesn't matter what anybody else says.
Someone in the back there.
Yes.
Well, that is an excellent question.
You find a spouse that wants it in the backyard. That's what I did.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what happened. She was okay. She loved the Eichler house, like we said. So to make her move to this house was very painful for her. So I said, I will make it to where you will like it. And she likes it. She still likes the other house better. But yeah, basically what I did is I was selling CDs on Amazon. Jason probably will tell you a little information on how to flip tiki, and I was flipping my used CDs, and all that money I would get would go right into the tiki bar. So I made,
He sold 47,000 CDs.
well, I probably made almost $50,000 selling CDs. So it was just trading that money for tiki stuff and building. No kidding. Anyone else? For me, when I did it, there wasn't as many home bars. Now there's so many home bars that I see, oh, I would have liked to have done that. But I'm okay with what I did and where it's at. So the nice part is I stole stuff from other people's ideas, not from their bars, but their ideas for their bars. And I've been to people's houses that are most humble, small houses, bars, but everybody has their own unique style of doing something, and I kind of like that. People always say, "Oh, your bar is so amazing," but I've seen more amazing bars than mine. So I think you can do something with a small space, make it your own, and make it as amazing as you want it to be.
I wish we had more room indoors in our house, because building anything outside in Florida is stupid.
Oh, and I would say one thing real quick. Add as many as electrical outlets as you possibly can. I didn't add enough. I probably have 10 with the power strips attached to power strips. So my buddy, the fire guy, would not be happy about that.
The photos you saw of ours, that's the second time we set everything up, because every time it's hurricane season, everything comes indoors.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good time. You should come over. It's fun. Everything in the bar is secured at Disney standards. We had the hurricane came through last year, 130-mile-an-hour winds. We lost one shot glass that broke clean, so we glued him back together, and we painted a little hurricane on him and put him back on the shelf.
Nice.
But the fence comes down, the masts come down, the tiki behind the waterfall comes in, all the furniture comes in, the directional, everything else has to come in. So I wish we had more room indoors to do something, but buckle up. It's about that time again.
So what I would have done differently, instead of
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Be good. Sadly, my answer is not much better than that. So it was a dirt floor, and normally, you lay a nice foundation when you're going to build something. I didn't do that. So I would have probably laid a floor first instead of just doing like, whatever is lying around, plywood, dirt here, sawdust. And then when I was making molds for all the plaster tiki mugs, extra plaster would go on the ground. So it's a very rickety hut. So yeah, I would have done flooring first.
But it fits its theme.
Yeah.
And it
And it's
takes good
character.
pictures. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yes. Bar tops.
I did not pour a bar top. So.
I did. I don't. In the first photo, there was lava stepping stones in my backyard. I don't know how that would translate, but we did. We poured concrete really thick. We molded it into shape, so we bought a rubber stamp of lava and pushed it in. It was super easy to do. It's just a lot of labor intensive, but you could do the same thing with a bar top. So I've seen concrete bar tops. Oh yeah.
The clear resin tops.
Yeah,
and
that
all
gets
that.
tough
yeah.
if it's out in the sun.
It will discolor.
Yeah.
But if it's inside, you could do it inside if it's covered.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? One? Yes. Weather?
In the beginning, probably money to get the right stuff and materials and everything. Yeah, that took the longest.
And the challenge for me was because it was such a big project that things were going slower than I had hoped for. So usually I work really good under pressure. So we planned a party about we'd been working on it for about 4 or 5 months, and then we did a party 5 months. We announced it like 5 months, and I had no idea how I was going to get it done. But it also made me work very late nights every weekend. And then when we had the party, I was actually so stressed out. I was actually putting up decor as people were showing up, and so I didn't enjoy my first party so much. But after that, it was fine, and we got the basics of it. And then over time, it didn't look that layered. There was 4 lamps, hanging lamps. I thought I had plenty of electrical. Now there's like 28 lamps, I think. Some that I've made.
Some that are in Halle Petle.
Yeah, I have like 9 lamps in Halle Pele, 1 at Smuggler's Cove, 4 or 5 lamps at Ventiki, and 1 at Trader Vic's. They were going to put it in the bar at Trader Vic's, but they liked it so much it's in the office where no one can see it. So a lot of my lamps and some other friends' lamps are in there too, and some vintage ones like from the Kikiki and Don the Beachcomber.
I haven't even had a party for ours. We had it scheduled, and then a hurricane came.
Ah,
And we went, we better not. Yes.
well, if it depends on where you live. I mean, a lot of these places will ship. We're lucky that Tony and I live in Southern California, so we have Oceanic Arts and Frank's Cane and Rush in not too far, an hour or two from us. And then other things, as far as vintage things, then that's usually a thrift store, swap meet, eBay. So all really found, or a nice marketplace upstairs, where there's people that do have some vintage things up there.
Yes. Home Depot right now has really gorgeous like clamshells too that are $24. Yeah, it depends on. Home Goods has floats every once in a while. It's just random. Yeah. Yes.
So, transition. So you have your regular, from the street, people don't really know what's going down. Because we all try to come in the door and knock and say, hi, you're the bar. But transitioning, let's say, from the back, from the outside space to the inside space, is there, have you found a good way that one side of something was really
The backside of water, kind of like that.
Well, the front from
for that, but not
I was gonna say the front for his.
Front side of water.
So you have one side where to the outside world it looks like
Mine,
normal bungalow.
no,
Yeah,
mine
hers-
looks the same from the front to the back.
Yeah.
It's all tropical plantings. I have a 13-foot tiki by my front door. And so, but I'm on a cul-de-sac so that we don't get a lot of through traffic. And I have a retired sheriff that lives across the street, so I'm not worried about going away. So he keeps an eye on things for me. But no, there's no transition. But it's funny because the street looks like a normal street till you get to my house, and then it's just the front looks more
The
like
volcano
Hawaii.
doesn't help.
No, there's
it
that.
looks like a jungle, basically.
Yeah.
And
And-
I use plants at my house to shield the backyard, so you can't see anything but a jungle.
And you can't really see what's in my backyard either from the front. It just looks like, oh, somebody did a nice tropical landscape. And even the tiki by the front door, you have to actually get almost to the front door to see it.
Ours, that was the reason we put up that bamboo fence along the side of the pool, because we don't have any houses on that side of us. It was all orange groves. And then they tore the orange groves down, and now there's the road. So we put up that fence, but all you can see is when you're driving up to our house, there's usually giant purple, pink, red, glowing orbs coming from the bar. And then there's like flickering flame lanterns, but nobody... We're kind of also the Halloween house in the neighborhood, so I don't think anybody asks questions. They go, yeah,
That
it's those
guy.
guys. Yeah. Anybody else? We'll wrap it up here and send everybody up to buy things. Yes?
It'll all come together.
The day before Oasis.
You'll have to come to Tiki Oasis
Yeah.
to find...
No, that
No.
would be too structurally sound.
No, I own a level. So. It's not Beach Grove approved.
You don't want to drive down the freeway with the sails flapping.
No, I
all
don't
that.
want that.
All right, I think, yes.
worried about resale value because, you permanently it's got walls and three walls and
Yes.
I mean, what if I have to sell this house?
We weren't planning on selling, so, and even the last house, the Eichler, I told the buyer that I will take the matting and everything off the walls, and they said, no, we like that, and they ended up buying and making their own bar inside there, so. But I would have been happy to rescue some of that stuff and reuse it. It's like, darn. But I'm not worried because I'm not going anywhere, I don't think. Unless my wife has kicked me out because she didn't answer the phone all morning. So.
All
Yes,
right,
I
well
have-
then,
And it has a bathroom.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Really
you guys for
appreciate
thanks
it.
coming.
everybody.